Hello and Namaste. We welcome you to the Baji Rao IAS Academy. Today is 1st November and we are going to discuss the daily Hindu newspaper analysis. So today we have four articles in discussion and these articles are very important. And why I rank it as important? It is all because from the analysis of the previous year paper. And you can also do that and make sure that if you do the analysis, that means you will be better to understand the topic, the priority. Okay, so please do the topic analysis and you can find that the topic of anti-defection, the parliamentary privileges, okay, these are very important topic, and not only one time but more than two time, three time has been asked in the last decade. Okay, so from these analysis you can find out the priority and you can be sure that on which topic we need to focus and on which topic we need to ignore, because the syllabus of the UPSC is like a ocean, and you know the vastness of the ocean, you need to become a diver, and along with diver you need to have a tools so that you can align yourself in a particular direction to get win. Okay, and the tool for the UPSC is basically your syllabus and the previous year paper, and from these you try to frame question that if there is a topic in the editorial, then which type of questions UPSC can ask. Maybe for the first time, for the second time there can be error, maybe you are not nearer to the level of the examiner mind, but slowly you can win the race. Slowly you can analyze perfectly that what type of questions UPSC frame from the given editorial, from the given article. And you know that the questions are basically dynamic in nature, specifically from the recent trend. And to ensure that your question framing pattern should also include these dynamicity. Okay, I also can provide you the question, but making or framing by yourself will enhance your capability, your enhance your thinking power. Okay, and you can also observe the pattern, and that is an important pillar that need to be cultivated to your mind. Okay, so that is the note I wanted to give. So let's start our discussion with a happy mind and an enjoyable moment. And if you are liking our initiative, please do like, share, subscribe, and share among your friend circle so that any notifications or the updates regarding our editorial or any article should be delivered to you immediately. And don't forget to subscribe the Telegram channel, okay? Because the PDF will be delivered to our Telegram channel. Okay, so let's start. But we have a warm-up session, and in the warm-up session we ask the prelims question, and these questions are basically from the previous year paper. And the question is, try to pause the video and then solve it. Please do solve it. Please be participatory. It will help you to recall the facts, to recall the data, to channelize your active learning. Okay, we know that there are two type of learning. One is your active learning, one is your passive learning. While I am speaking, you are hearing. This is basically passive learning. While you are analyzing, you are solving a question. That is active learning. You are framing a question for the UPSC mains. That are active learning. So become an active learner, become a thinker, and think the pattern, think about the topic, think about the subjects. Okay, this will help your expansion of your mind. So the question is, which of the following schedules of the Constitution of India contains provisions regarding anti-defection? And why I have took this question, because the newspaper are flooded with these topics. Okay, so the option is schedule 2nd, schedule 5th, 8th schedule, or the 10th schedule. Okay, we will be providing you the answer of this question in the last session. Okay, and for that I am considering a point that the anti-defection means what? When a member of a political party, they violates the norms or the rules of the defection, specifically under the anti-defection provision which has been mentioned in the schedule. That means there is a need to decide on the defection by the presiding officer. Okay, and that comes under the schedule, but you have to tell me which schedule. Okay, I will be providing you the answer in the last of the session. So now keep watching. And here it is a question about the means, and the question deals with the parliamentary committee. Okay, and this is also very important. In the last 10 years, I think 2 to 3 questions about this topic has been already asked. Okay, so the question is, why do you think the committees are considered to be useful for the parliamentary work? Discuss in this context the role of estimates committee. So here you have to answer in the 2 parts. First of all, the usefulness of the parliamentary work of this committee, and the second context that you have to talk about the role of estimates committee. Okay, and regarding estimates committee, UPSC also asked in the prelims question, tell me what is the total number of members in the estimates committee and who presides the chairman of this committee. Okay, and what is the tenure of the members of this committee? So try to answer in the chat box. You will be enjoying. Okay, so now we are shifting to the article discussion. The first article is related to the Apple cyber attack alert. Now you are seeing in the newspaper that recently the Apple, which is a very branded mobile manufacturer company, and their mobile phone are very costly, and they have alerted some of the Indian politicians, journalists, okay, that they are being targeted by a state sponsored attackers. Okay, why this is a point of concern? Because when we talk about cyber related incidents, that means we are mainly concerned with the outsider, with the foreign attackers. Okay, but these allegations by the company are like the state can use these technology, these digital tools to make vigilantism against the opposition. Okay, against the journalists who talks against the government, against the state. So that is an allegation. Okay, but what will be the truth? Only time will tell. But the government also told that they will cooperate with the company for this investigation, and that the truth must prevail. And when we talk about further detail, basically the alert also talk that the company detects sophisticated threat actors with the government backing. Okay, and you can see that the alert message was basically received by certain important political personality. You can see here like Shashi Tharoor, okay, the Sitaram Yechuri, Akhilesh Yadav, and many other persons. Okay, and we have talked to you about the stand of the center. They basically talked about they will cooperate with the company regarding the investigation. Okay, so what is the overall point? That in the digital era, okay, the data breach, the communication issues may be common in the coming times. Okay, and that can challenge the privacy, and this can be used to manipulate the voters behavior, to understand the strategy of the opposition while dealing with the elections. Okay, so these are the dimensions you can understand. You should not restrict this issue to a limited thinking. Try to expand your thinking that what will happen if these data, let's say, are controlled by the government. Okay, what impact can be there? So try to analyze, try to understand. That's why you can understand the importance of the data and the right to privacy in the present scenario. Okay, and we are talking about this, but we hadn't talked about the data incidents, cyber crimes which are caused by the foreigners. Okay, so there is also a concern regarding that matter, but here we are focusing on this matter. So try to analyze, try to think about the implications, okay, and why there is a importance of right to privacy and the protection and the data protection and the need of data protection law. Okay, so you can quote the example in the paper as well. Okay, so that is the first article, and now we are shifting to the second article, and that will be dealt with GS paper 2. And when we talk about this second article, you are seeing in the newspaper that the anti-defection law or the role of the speaker regarding their biasness are basically mentioned in the news. Okay, so here the context is about the Maharashtra speaker. We will go into some of the recent backings so that you can understand the whole issue. You know that the government before a year was governed by Shiv Sena party, and it was headed by Uddhav Thackeray. Okay, but in the previous year there was a party split. The Shiv Sena party was split into two. One was under the control of Eknath Shinde, who is current CM of Maharashtra, and the another basically under the leadership of Uddhav Thackeray. Okay, so that is the point. But because of the split, there was political crisis, and one important thing that caused was the disturbances in the legislative assembly, that who will form the government. And to form the government there is a need to have a majority of seats in the legislative assembly. Okay, so to form the government there was a need of the uh, like uh, members. Okay, but due to the split the majority support was lacking. So what happened, that the party led by Eknath Shinde, many of the members who were affiliated with the Uddhav Thackeray, they shifted towards Eknath Shinde. Okay, and that's why the government was formed. Okay, to secure the majority and to form the government. So when this type of incident happens, when a series of members shifts from one party to another party, or there is a split of the party, okay, so there is a issue of anti-defection, and we have an anti-defection law under the 10th schedule. Okay, so that's why these incident led to the issue of anti-defection, that there was a allegations about the defection of the members. Okay, but when we talk about Maharashtra Legislative Assembly or any of the Legislative Assembly who decides the defection issue under the anti-defection law, it is basically the speaker. Okay, but the speaker from the long time was not deciding the issue. Okay, and that's why the opposition was blaming about the speaker regarding the political biasness, and we have discussed this article about the political biasness and the role of a speaker in the previous lecture. You can watch that as well. Okay, so there was an issue, so this matter went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court on 11th of May directed the Maharashtra speaker that you need to decide on the defection issue within the definite time frame. Okay, but even that 4 months, 5 months left. Okay, but the decision about the defection of the members, okay, was not concluded. So ultimately now Supreme Court cleared a deadline, set a time limit, that the speaker of the Maharashtra need to discuss need to conclude about the defection issue by 31st of December, specifically related to the Shiv Sena split. Okay, and by 31st of January 2024 for the NCP, Nationalist Congress Party. So that is the case. So what we are understanding, that the issue of the party split that was occurred before a year, and now there has been elongated up to this year, but still the defection related issue was not solved. What does it indicate? The biasness of the speaker. Okay, so that is the point. But you may be wondering that why the biasness issue arises among the speaker. It is all because the speaker, they are mostly from the ruling party. Okay, and if there can be an issue that goes against the interest of their political party which he or she belongs, that means there can be a delay in the decision making and there can be other issues. Okay, that is the point. So here we are going to discuss about the role of the speaker. And first of all, when we talk about a speaker, okay, they are presiding officer. They head the office of the legislative assembly. They control, they conduct, they administer various rules, regulations of the house. So there is a need that the speaker should remain neutral. Okay, and in the case of defection, there is a need to have an urgency in dealing with the question of the 10th schedule or the defection related provisions. Okay, but what we are seeing, that there is a issue of political loyalties above their constitutional duty. Okay, and we have talked about the basics, like despite Supreme Court direction on May 11, 2023, and even that the Maharashtra legislative speaker didn't took their stand. Okay, and also what can be the implications of these type of delays is that the ruling party may get an extra edge, that they can casually recruit the members of the opposition in several states without any fear of disqualification. Because if there is a understanding that if we split, if we join our party to another party, and if there is a less restrictions regarding disqualification, then they will be like doing or joining the political party of others. Okay, so that is the point, that is the issue. And when we talk about the Supreme Court observation, you can understand that Karnataka disqualification case, the court observed that there is a growing trend of speakers acting against the constitutional duty. And what is the constitutional duty? Being neutral. Okay, and even that in Manipur, when the Supreme Court observed that the minister was not getting removed from the office, despite there was a direction given by the Supreme Court to remove or to deal with under the anti-defection rule or the law. So the Supreme Court decided and they removed the minister from the office. Okay, and that's the understanding, and the matter of the defection should be taken out of the purview of the speaker to free these matters from politics. What does it mean? That if we are seeing the political biasness, okay, among the speaker, that means you should take out this responsibility of dealing with the defection related provisions from the speaker and give to another authority that can decide the defection. Okay, to an independent authority. So that is the point which has been suggested in this article. Hope you understood. That is a good point, you can understand. Okay, so now after discussion of the first article, now we are shifting to the next article, and the next article is also related to the GS paper 3, and this is related to the problems that are basically faced by the Indian Railway. And why we have taken this article? Because in the recent times you have seen that two major accidents which occurred in the Indian Railway. One was very devastating, the Odisha's Balasore railway accident, and the another which was recently occurred in the Andhra Pradesh. Okay, and what was the location? Vijayanagaram. And you can see that when we talk about the Balasore run incident, about 275 people were killed and there were various injuries to the people and the crisis their family faced. Okay, but despite that, we are again stuck with these type of incident. So does it means that the government or the Indian Railway is failed to provide the security to the people? Maybe. So what needs to be done? What actions should be taken? There is a need to have a proper observation and analysis. Okay, so that is the point the article is discussing about. And as you are seeing the headline, that railway must upgrade its signaling and telecommunication network. Okay, so that we can minimize the railway accidents. And also one of the important suggestion that despite the government is focusing on the Kavach, that is basically a technology based tool that will prevent the collision among the trains by applying the necessity brake as per the sensors. Okay, so in these accidents and in these route, the Kavach system was not implemented. So that is also another issue. Although the government talked about that they are going to they are going to implement the cover system. Okay, but the progress is very very slow. So that is one important point. Okay, and when we talk about other problems in the Indian railway, so we have talked about Kavach. Okay, and there is another issue like weak enforceability of rail safety regulation. We have the rail safety regulations. Okay, whether the track is in maintained state or not, whether the bogies is in good condition or not, whether there is an incident of fire or like all these observations do have a provisions in the rail safety regulation, but you can observe that there can be the weak enforceability of these. Okay, and along with what we are seeing that high vacancies in the post of operational safety and about 53,180 posts were still vacant. Okay, so that means what? The security may get compromised. So that is the point. And when we talk about some of the measures which was taken but are still inefficient, and there is a need to go ahead and adopt another measures. What will be the measures we will be talking, but what where the measures already taken we will be understanding, like interlocking of nearly 11,000 level crossing gates, so that to prevent the human crossings. Okay, and we have a mechanization of track laying activity by track machines to reduce the human errors, and this will help that the human errors should be prevented. Okay, otherwise when we talk about the involvement of the humans in these operations, that means the track can be facing issue. Okay, and along with provision of electrical or electronic interlocking system with centralized operation of points. Okay, and the implementation of Rashtriya Rail Suraksha Kosh for the replacement, renewal and upgradation of critical safety assets. Okay, so these were the measures which was taken, but they were not sufficient, and that's why there is a need to have a further measures to be taken. Okay, so that we can ensure the safety. First of all, upgrading the signaling and telecommunication network as well as the human resource development. Remember, the human resource development means proper skilling, training of the officers, okay, or the staffs to deal with the crisis, to deal with the uncertainty, and all of that. And when we talk about another suggestion, like the accountability of the senior railway management at the divisional level itself needs to be fixed, because these incidents showcase that there can be the human error, like signal jump. Okay, So these incidents can be due to the human error, and to deal with the human error, there is a need to fix the accountability as well. And along with reforms regarding the appointment of the members in the railway board. Okay, the members should be appointed based on the professionals and technocrats. Okay, and that should come from outside the railway system, so that the efficiency, the productivity needs to be promoted here. Okay, because these are a very important area. Okay, and every day lakhs and crores of passengers travel through the Indian railway. That means they travel with a stake, they travel with an insecurity. Okay, so what as a government needs to do to provide them security? Okay, and for the security, there is a need to do all the measures the government can do, so that the welfare of the humans should be protected. So that is the article, and now we are shifting to the next article. And next article is also related to the GS paper 2, and it is also related to the parliamentary committee and the privilege committee. Okay, so all of that, ethics committee. And why this article is in news? It is all because the recent allegations about the TMC member MP, that is Mahua Moitra, like she were promoting the business interest of a businessman by asking the questions which were framed by that businessman. Okay, and that's why the matter went to the ethics committee of the parliament, and now parliament and this ethics committee are investigating on this matter. So that is the context. So in this article, there is a talk about that the matter of these incident that we have discussed, they should not go to the ethics committee, but actually they should go to the privilege committee. Because when we talk about parliamentary committee, there is a different committee constituted based on the objectives. The privilege committee, they are dealing with the cases of breach of privilege done by an member of parliament. Okay, and when we talk about ethics committee, they are responsible to monitor the unethical behavior of a member of parliament and all of that. Okay, so this article talks about that the incident of Mahua Moitra should be examined by the ethics committee. Okay, so why this article talking about that? We will look into detail. But tell me, what is the total number of members of the ethics committee? Okay, and tell me also about the committee of privilege, the members. Okay, so that you can understand, you can recall all of the stuff. And we have already discussed about the basics of the ethics committee. So when we talk about the issue, we have already discussed the basics. So the article says that this incident should be examined by the privilege committee, not the ethics committee. Why? Because this article showcase various examples, okay, of these type where MPs were expelled from the house on this ground. Okay, and the matter was examined by the committee of privilege, not the ethics committee. Like we have example in 1951, HG Mudgal, an MP of the parliament of that time, he was alleged to have been promoting the business interest of another person. Okay, and this was the similar incident, but this incident went to the committee of privilege. Okay, and when we talk about a special committee found his conduct derogatory to the dignity of the house. And we have another incident in 2005 where a string operation by a private channel showed that 10 members of the Lok Sabha accepting money for putting questions up in the parliament. So the current incident is not a unique one. Already these type of incidents are observed in the house, and actions was also taken. Okay, and what was the ultimate action? basically expelling the members. Okay, so that was the point. So when we talk about the ethics committee, so ethics committee was set up in 2000, okay, to examine the complaint that related to the unethical conduct of the MPs, and also formulating a code of conduct for the MP, their behavior, okay, what behavior that should be treated as ethical, okay. So that is the point. And remember that this type of incident that we have discussed, there are various instances which occurred before the ethics committee, and the matter was dealt by the privilege committee, okay, not the ethics committee. And that's why the article suggests that this matter should be dealt with the privilege committee, okay. And when we talk about the ethics committee and certain issues associated with this committee, first of all, the unethical conduct has not been defined anywhere. So if there is a no definition, then how you can call an incident as whether they are unethical or ethical? And that will be based on assumption itself, okay. And that means what? You may refer this issue whether to the ethics committee, whether to the privilege committee, okay. So if there is a proper mentioning that these lists should be qualified as unethical conduct, that means the ethics committee should be well assured that if there is a breach of issues under the ethics, so they will be getting the case, okay. But however, the moral vagaries of MPs definitely comes under the scrutiny, but not the present case, okay. Like in the one instance, an MP took his close female companion along with him on a parliamentary tour, so that can be the issue under the ethics committee, okay, because these are an example of moral vagaries, okay. And in another case, an MP took along a woman and a boy on a foreign tour using the passport of his wife and a son. That is also a case that will be dealt under the ethics committee, okay. And this was like serious violation of the passport act. How can a person can do like this, like using the passport of his wife and son, okay. So ultimately the article tried to say that this incident also should be considered under the privilege committee, not under the ethics committee, okay. But we are seeing that they has been referred to the ethics committee. And along with certain important point, you should note that parliamentary committees do not deal with the criminal investigation. The criminal investigation can be done against the civil servants or the civil official, okay. But the committee does not do the criminal investigation. Also, they have the lack of experts, okay. And they cannot be same as the judicial probe, because in judicial probe the statute and rules are followed, and they are conducted by judicially trained persons, okay. And also the rules of evidence under the evidence act are not applicable to a probe done by the parliamentary committee, okay. So on what evidence they rely upon? They rely upon the document received by the complainant and the witnesses that are basically supporting the document. So all of that, okay. And when we talk about one another matter that was raised in this Mahua Moitra issue, that every member of parliament has an account, okay. And via their parliamentary account they try to raise the question and do other day-to-day work, okay. So the account was given to the businessman, and the businessman basically used to uh, like uh, try to frame the question, okay. So that is the point. But here this article talks about that when we talk about MPs, they do not have the time to sit down and write out the questions, okay. So they are sharing the password with personal assistant, so that the personal assistant they can do their work, okay. And also an MP is free to engage any person to do his parliamentary work. And when we talk about article 105, so they gives them the freedom to say anything in the house. And when this article is talking about they can say anything in the house, that means they can also include any source of information for putting the questions up. That means if the question even like given by the businessman, so that should also not be coming under the legal section. Okay, so that is the end of the article. Hope you understood. And thanks friend, thank you for the watching. Please do subscribe, and we will meet again with the next lecture. Thank you.